The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
At that time, Jesus said to his disciples, "Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Sell your possessions and give alms. Provide yourselves with purses that do not grow old, with a treasure in the heavens that does not fail, where no thief approaches and no moth destroys. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Let your loins be girded and your lamps burning, and be like men who are waiting for their master to come home from the marriage feast, so that they may open to him at once when he comes and knocks. Blessed are those servants whom the master finds awake when he comes. Truly I say to you, he will put on an apron and have them sit at table, and he will come and serve them. If he comes on the second watch or in the third and finds them so, blessed are those servants. But know this, that if the householder had known at what hour the thief was coming, he would have been awake and would not have left his house broken into. You also must stand ready. For the Son of Man is coming at an hour you do not expect." Peter said, "Lord, are you telling this parable for us or for all?" And the Lord said, "Who then is the faithful and wise servant whom his master will set over his household, to give them their portion of food at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master, when he comes, will find so doing. Truly, I tell you, he will set him over all his possessions. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delaying in coming,' and begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants, and to eat and drink and getting drunk, the master of that servant will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at an hour he does not know, and will punish him, and put him with the unfaithful. And that servant who knew his master's will, but did not make ready, or act according to his will, shall receive a severe beating. But he who did not know, and did what deserved a beating, shall receive a light beating. Everyone to whom much is given, of him will much be required, and of him to whom men commit much, they will demand even more." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Glory to Jesus. There was a time in my life when I read through this gospel and I think to myself, how am I going to be saved? Today I want to tell you that thought was actually a very good thought, a positive thought. Because today I am not going to make such statement anymore. Because I can tell myself that I am saved. I am saved. There is bound to be historical divides in our lives. The time in which we didn't know what to do. The time in which we knew what to do and have not started it. The time we knew what to do and refused to do it. And then eventually the time we knew what to do and set forth to do it. Every life would have these three or these four at one point in time. You know, for some people, The last one seems to come first sometimes. Especially when we are young. We knew what to do and we did it. Especially when we are young. There are a lot of good kids that live their lives that way in stark obedience. The parents tell them what to do. They tell them what to avoid. They teach them how to comport themselves. They give them rules and regulations. The children follow. At some point in time, many children were saints, and if any call from heaven happens to them, they will not taste hell. They will not even go close to purgatory. Straight to heaven. But as some of us grew, we discovered that because of the distractions of life, we now got to one of the stages of ignorance in which we don't know what to do. We don't know the right thing to do, but we are doing bad. Another point could be someone eventually grew, knew the things to do, but because of the distraction, now engaged what they call procrastination. This also happens to kids. Remember those days we were young? We were given assignments. It would have been wiser to have done the assignment that morning before our parents went for work. But the moment they left, there was something about us then that makes us forget entirely every single thing they asked us to do. Because we had play in front of us. In fact, we have started the playing in our hearts, in our minds, just waiting for them to go. Let us just make sure that the vehicle will not reverse and start coming back. As we hear the vehicle fading away, the sound fading away, our joy is swelling, and then the play is leaving our minds, entering our hands, entering our legs, occupying spaces, and so on and so forth. We could play till 4 o'clock. When we hear the horn of another vehicle coming, it will not remind us of the horn of our parents. That's when we now start doing the work. But we had more unfortunate times because we never had to finish the work. In fact, there are sometimes we are far more unfortunate that it is their own horn that will remind us that we have not even done what we are asked to do. And of course, the reward is, mature, disciplined beating. Better one. And I couldn't understand why we didn't make resolve to escape those beatings. Because we kept procrastinating and we kept receiving better beating. Good one, I'm telling you, good one. Not the petting that we pet children now that makes them bold enough to call their parents by their first name. Eventually, we have the condition of those who now grow. And they say, those days I was small, I was obedient. Those days I was small, I was behaving like a holy person. But now they've made a resolve to sit in sin. Maybe as a result of too many evils they have received in the world. Because a lot of people have received so much evil in the world, and then their annoyance now plunges them into doing evil. Or some people who just grew in the place of evil. But what I want us to understand here in all of this is that Satan plays a larger role in helping keep us in the place of evil. And this is what we call the universal spell of perversion by which individuals engage crimes or engage things that are injurious to themselves because other people are doing it, or because it is something that is everywhere. Presently, that is one of the pressures of the human person, that everywhere you turn to, sin is a culture. So for you to live outside of sin now becomes a pressure that is too much for you to bear. In all of these, dear friends, let us understand quickly what eventually helped me. As I grew understanding this gospel, I came to discover that in the third K that Jesus Christ gave in today's parable, those who don't know what to do and yet did what deserved beating. If you notice, they did not describe what deserved beating. But Jesus did say that they did something. That's something they did. As I grew up, I now came to discover that that's something they did can include all that can take a Christian to hell. All that can take a Christian to hell. Please, I want you to repeat that. All that can take a Christian to hell.
All that can take a Christian to hell.
I need to be sure that you are getting this logic. You see, the people who don't know what they are supposed to do, they don't know, but they did what needs to be punished. You see, that deed, that thing that they do can include everything that a Christian will do and go to hell. Do you understand that? But what punishment did Jesus Christ say is for them? Light punishment. So let me tell you this. The servants to whom Jesus said the master has given the right and the authority to do good, listen carefully, did not do good. And they were eating and drinking and getting drunk, beating the men and the maidservants. Are you following? They were sent to hell direct. These third people, this third group, who don't know anything, but are also servants, when they see the first group eating and drinking and getting drunk, they will also join them to eat and drink and get drunk. When they see them oppressing and beating the men and the maid servants, they would also join them, oppress and beat the men and the maid servants. Are you following me? So that the crime of the first set and the crime of the last set are the same. Yet the first set goes to hell, and the last set are giving what? Light punishment. Look, don't joke with the truth that have been revealed. You know, it is very, very ordinary for Christians to say Christianity is not stupidity. But at the point in time, I now appreciated Paul. When Paul said, I am a fool for Christ's sake. I am a what? Fool for Christ's sake. If you want to be wise, go and find out. This is exactly what Satan does. He say Christianity is not stupidity. And then you use it the wrong way. Christianity is not stupidity. We use it the wrong way. How wise are we to be able to apply Christianity is not stupidity? If we must apply Christianity as not being stupidity, go to Jesus Christ. You will see how he applied it. You will see how he solved the problems that confronted him. Because if you carry that statement to live your life, you will be the baddest human being, not even Christian, that lives. Because it means every insult that you are insulted, you will answer it. It means every time they slap you, you must slap back. So that you discover that in the process of living out that dictum that says Christianity is not stupidity, you will be going against nearly every provision of law and commandment that God has given you to keep as what? A Christian. Let me tell you, the meaning of Christianity is not stupidity. You are in an office where they are calling for corruption. They present corruption as if it is official procedure. That is where you say Christianity is not stupidity. Someone calls you to cheat you and to deceive you because you are a Christian, because they know you have soft heart. They come to deceive you or to cheat you. That is where you say Christianity is not stupidity. When somebody arranges a situation that is a lie and presents it to you so that you will defend that situation as truth, that is where you say Christianity is not stupidity. When a fellow parishioner, one of the things that have destroyed unity amongst you now, and churches everywhere. When a fellow parishioner comes to you and tells you things about the other, and then eventually now tells you that what I told you now, don't say it, otherwise, if you say it out, they will not trust me to tell me anything anymore. You see, that kind of situation, if you say it, it means they will not tell me secrets anymore. You don't need that kind of secret. A secret you cannot verify should not enter your ear, because a human being like you is about to make a meal out of your brain. Do you know what it means to live in the life of someone else? Do you know what it means for your brain to be under somebody's slippers? And then you will be happy, boasting up and down that you are living a life of independence. Who told you are living a life of independence when you are quarreling with somebody you are not supposed to quarrel with, and there is a one that has made you quarrel with that person without you knowing that you are not meant to quarrel with the person? Another person has put your brain under the slippers, and then you say you are independent. This is where you say Christianity is not stupidity. When evil is coming to you and you defend yourself tactfully against it, that is the meaning of Christianity is not stupidity. We must look at Jesus. We must look at how he handled it, so that we do not fail in our Christian responsibility. And like I said, it is unfortunate if you are already a Christian and you are not ready for it. You know, when I speak, I look at people's eye one by one. I look at people directly. And one feedback that always comes to me is, what can be found behind those eyes? What can be found behind those eyes? Somebody openly expressed himself. On the day I was speaking about perversion, a young boy was able to voice his anger. I don't like the way this priest preach. Then a 14-year-old now started asking him, what did he say? I don't just like the way he preached. What did he say? Because he went out of the church and was pressing his phone. So what did he say? What made you annoyed? You know, the answers weren't too far-fetched until one now discovered that the boy is trying to spin all the girls that he can just see. Anyone that he just sight, he's trying to spin all of them. So such a person will not be comfortable inside my hall. But let's assume he doesn't have opportunity to go out, and he's sitting right there looking at me. What is behind those eyes? Are they accepting his words, or they are looking at him with scorn? Because every single thing that I say are not mine, they are his. And then he says, whoever receives you receives me. And says, whoever receives me receives the one who sent me. The confidence of my standing does not come from any part of me, from head to toe. It comes from the assurances of his words that have never failed. It comes from the fact that the one who is speaking was the one that created the heavens and the earth. It comes from the fact that the one who is speaking is one who so loves us. And if I don't understand the Old Testament, if I don't understand the mysteries of Christianity, if I don't understand the meaning of the Trinity, let me not understand how he was given a virgin birth. Let me not understand anything at all. But somebody who was telling me to be good, and in order to prove to me that I have to be good, now died because of me, is sufficient to claim every ounce of cells in my body for him. And thanks to God, I was a deacon in 2004 when an old woman made that expression. Because I was curious about why she now so loved the church. Somebody who was known to be a witch, someone who had out of 14 children, about 12 dead. And there's the suspicion that she was the one using them. You know, her witchcraft wasn't hidden. one whom people were afraid of in the market, one who was as vicious as a lion looking at the prey, now became someone that people insult in the market, and they can insult her free of charge. How did you get there? She doesn't know how to read the Bible, of course. She doesn't know how to read the Bible. But she just heard few things and heard that someone called Jesus Christ, after the prayers of a priest over her, that brought her into the light of understanding small, to even understand who Jesus Christ is. And by the way, these people know spiritual realities far more than those of us who say we are clean. And she was able to calculate that someone who can die for me, he cannot deceive me. But all those powers that give me power to kill, they give me power to kill, but other people are dying for us. They have not died for anybody. They have not even died for me. If I disobey them, they will kill me. But there is someone, they said, die for me. One who died for me. None of his words can deceive me. It was on that premise that she built her faith that was never shaken unto death. My dear friends, is there any way that the Lord has not spoken to us? In plain words, in parables, through prophets, through priests, and then through his only begotten Son. My dear, there is hellfire. If you don't enter heaven, you will enter hellfire with full confidence. The words are there for us. They are coming to us. Like I said at the beginning, the one who is safe is the one that asks the question, how can I be holy? Somebody asked this question. When Jesus Christ gave the parable, when Jesus Christ gave a comment on the rich young ruler who approached Jesus Christ for eternal life and eventually left sorrowfully away. And Jesus Christ now made that famous statement, how hard it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. That it will be easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter there. The apostles just so. Who then can enter? They asked that question, how can we survive? And then Jesus says, for men it is impossible. You must understand that. And if your Christianity does not channel you towards the spirituality of entering heaven, your Christianity should channel you towards spirituality of begging God every day. If you are not strong enough to say, look, everything I'm going to do today is heaven. If your Christianity does not channel you towards the pathway that leads you to dominion in holiness, then your spirituality must lead you to the available safest route. The only available safest route to salvation is, Lord, I beg you, help me. How will they do this one? I want to do it. How? Help me. It should dominate every second of your life. Because when the day of reckoning comes, there is nothing like, I didn't know, not dead. It is already too late for you to be in the class of I didn't know. Because if now you say, okay, if this is how it is, let me belong to the third cadre. Those who don't know, but did what to be beaten. Jesus says they will receive fewer beatings. The fact that you have tasted of truth and you now close your head to say, I don't want to hear again, it puts you in the position of the first. Those who will go to hell, you already have known. So the battle should begin now. This is the reason why you should not mind Christians who do not care about your spiritual growth. It can be any kind of Christian. It can be even someone like me from this altar. Because the devil can use anybody as an obstacle to your salvation. All he just wants is to capture and trap our souls where his eternal punishment has been destined to be. Always know this. And trust me, with the help of God and with your faith, you will succeed. Because the entirety of the first reading today was telling us about how the faithful preachers succeeded in putting away the distractions that can bring about damnation. When Wisdom chapter 18 from verse 6 to 9 was telling us about how the patriarchs of old knew beforehand the blessings of the Lord as a result of their faith. Why would you not know beforehand that you get into heaven if you obey Jesus? Why would you not know beforehand the consequences of being faithful? You must know beforehand. You will know beforehand the consequences of the lives of your enemies, how they will end. You must know if you are faithful. Hebrews was the one that gave us a digest of examples of faith. How faith led people to stand firm even though they have not seen the fulfillment of the fullness of the promises they were given. Abraham didn't live to see the fullness of the promises he was given. But let me tell you this. While Abraham was the father of many nations in Israel, that as in Israel, many Israelites themselves did not follow the line of Abraham. While Abraham lived his own life and went to heaven, his own promise fulfilled, many of them went to hell. I hope you know that. So this is not about Abraham. This is about you. Your destiny is in your hands. When Jesus came, all Jesus did was to ensure that even you yourself should stand where Abraham is standing, the man of faith. May the Lord assist us in this endeavor. We beg you, Holy God, not to leave us to the devices of our own common sense, for we have been misguided. But let your wisdom from on high, Holy God, shed light upon our lives and elevate us onto that platform where even when we fall, we will still rise towards the right direction. We make this prayer through Jesus Christ our Lord.